Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Marvel Multiverse role-playing game Session 2 Field Report, and I want to talk about Thanos, the player character villain. What was interesting was all the player characters were brought to nowhere to meet with the Collector, and the Collector had an offer that he wanted to make all these villains, and he was going to essentially make them a search posse for something that for something he wanted to put into his collection. And this is interrupted, and the player characters never meet the Collector, or actually it looked like the player characters were not going to meet the Collector, because Enchantress blows up this entire building. She's very upset that Red Skull has been killed by Spider-Man. She's wrong. Red Skull was killed by Spider-Gwen. But my Thanos player is in the same situation as all the other player characters, but ignored the Enchantress adventure, right? All the action that's happening with the Enchantress, Thanos ignored it and burst down the door of the Collector and entered the building where the Collector was at, which is only about 200 feet away from where Enchantress had blown up this building, right? So Thanos busts down the door of the Collector, runs in, right, and says, "I'm going to go get all the Infinity Stones from the Collector's vault." And I'm like, okay, that's cute, but the player 100% communicated what they wanted. That's what I want, right? Tell me what your intention is, right? And I was like, okay, so you get down this hallway, and the Collector just comes right out and says, "Oh, hey, Thanos, hey, good to see you," right? And it totally ignores the fact that Thanos has literally punched down his door, right? And so Thanos snatches up the Collector by the neck, right? Player character snatches up the Collector, my NPC, by the neck and says, "Give me the Infinity Stones," right? Immediately. And the Collector says, "Hey, I brought you here for a job. This is totally inappropriate, right?" And so the player's like, I have him by the neck, right? I can hurt him. I was like, you can do more than hurt him. The Collector really isn't that strong. His strength doesn't come from his physical form or any of his powers. You can kill him. Like, you have him by the neck, right? Like, you can literally just wring his life out, right? But the problem is that ain't gonna get because the Collector is dead certainly doesn't mean that you get the Infinity Gems in your hand, right? And so he's incented to carry on talking with the Collector a bit more, and he does. So he says, and the Collector says, "Now, put me down and let's have the conversation we're gonna have," right? And so Thanos says no, right? And increases the pressure on his neck, and immediately two of the Collector's sentry robots come up. Now, first of all, I didn't really expect the player characters to even talk to the Collector. I thought everybody would engage with the Enchantress adventure, the Enchantress action, right? And so I immediately had to, and this is what I absolutely love, and I think this is the brilliance of the Marvel Multiverse RPG, is there's 100 characters in there, right? And so what I did was I immediately said, okay, in my mind, right, I was like, okay, I just said, Collector's sentry robots show up. Then I turned to the Ultron page, and in my mind I'm like, okay, these guys aren't as powerful as Ultron, but they're going to have every power Ultron has, and every single number on this page, I'm going to subtract 1, right? So, and then I just ran the character as though it was Ultron -1 for every single number, right? Very fast, very effective, right? And I think Thanos has 180 hit points, and in round 1, I dealt, I think, 80 points to him, took him down to about 100. So 2 attacks from these robots took him down to 100 hit points, right? 100 health. That's the actual term, right? And so, and then at that point, it's back to the player, and I'm like, you know, you could put him down and have the conversation he wants to have, right? Or you can kill him. Like, you have him by the neck, right? And then you're going to spend, and by the way, the 2 sentry robots, you see 4 more on their way, you know, in the hallway beyond, right? And so he puts him down, and then he lets Thanos, and then Thanos lets Collector tell him why he brought him here. So the Collector says, a few years ago, Odin's brother attacked the Earth by giving magically enhanced hammers to Earth's mightiest heroes, right? And they corrupted them and then put them under the spell of Odin's brother, right? And so he had these incredibly powerful, destructive juggernaut heroes using his magically enhanced hammers, right? In order to stop this, Tony Stark actually worked with Asgardian dwarves and forged a Tony Stark Asgardian dwarf collaboration, and they built armor and weapons. So these were the Tony Stark Asgardian collaboration weapons. And Collector says to Thanos, I want you to spend 3 months, and you're going to give 100% of your effort to find one of these. If you do that, I will give, he says, he offers it to give him a new power, right? And Thanos is like, I don't want a new power, I want the reality gem, right? And so he says, if you do this, I will give you the reality gem. However, with the proviso that once you have the reality gem and or any additional infinity gems, myself and 10 people I name will be completely immune to your authority. You will not harm us. You will not interfere with us in any way. All right? And he says, so if you spend 3 months, even if, you know, I'm going to trust you that you're going to give your best effort to do this, because it's going to be incredibly difficult. If you spend 3 months doing this and you bring and you don't get it, I'll give you the reality gem. If you spend two weeks and you bring any of these weapons back to me, right, then I will give you the reality gem. And so Thanos makes this deal with the Collector, right? This was a very big surprise to me. I did not see this coming out of the game. It was very interesting. And the Thanos player is all in, and he is very targeted at getting the Infinity Gems and the Infinity Gauntlet. He doesn't have any of them right now, but he is Thanos, and he's a rank 6 character, and he is very dangerous, right? Thanos don't play. And I did give him the chopper blade that he used at the end. He does have the weapon, the chopper blade, that he used at the end of Endgame. Very, very interesting. Thank you for continuing to let me share my Marvel Multiverse field reports for Session 2. And this was... Yeah. And this was my Magnesium player. Very, very, very good player. Really surprising part of Session 2. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear about Session 2. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion about Marvel Multiverse RPG and the games you're running with it, or your interaction with Marvel's IP. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.